Hey, what's going on, fight fans? This is Coach D, the Wild Man, coming at you again with another episode of Coach D Media. Now, you know I do a Coach D Media. I talk about all things combat sports related, from the highs to the lows. All right, let's go ahead and get back into it. Today, we're going to talk about athletes and fighter pay, right? Moving forward with all these things that's been going on with sports as a whole and combat sports specific, we've seen so many things happen, right? So now we look at athletes in football like Shedeur Sanders, right? Taking the NIL deal to the whole nother level, building his own, contract to get things done, going against the status quo and changing the game when it comes to athletic branding, right? So what Shedeur was able to do was take what was given and use his own personal branding to just change the game when it comes to making revenue in sports. So some of the things we tend to find out about sports as a whole is that sports always, when it comes to contracts and money, always favors the promotion or the sport that's putting it on. Like if you go to college, the college is going to make the lion's share of the deal. You know what I'm saying? They got the broadcast rights. Back in the day, they was able to control your image, your name, everything was controlled by them. So all you got was a degree, and the college made billions. Well, that has changed now with NIL coming online, right? Where athletes can now make money off their name, image, and likeness, right? And Shedeur has shown the world that if done right, you can go ahead and make all the money you need to make, regardless of your position in sports. So we all know his story, right? He was slated to be a number one pick, right? Come to find out, he was quote unquote, as you look at it, blackballed where they didn't want him because he was arrogant, he was cocky. The Sanders name was too arrogant. People were like, all he had to do was shut up and play football since he wants to be, the face of everything. We're gonna go ahead and make an example of him. So he went from all the fans saying he should be a number one draft pick to end up being number 5th. He was like the last person to be picked up in football as a quarterback. So basically he was going to ride the bench. He got the lowest, signing bonus when it comes to football, the bare minimums, basically, right? That didn't matter. He just kept his mouth shut and did what he had to do. End up creating his own contract with the NFL, meaning he got a piece of his name, image, and likeness, right? Or he controlled everything when it came to name, image, and likeness outside of football, which means if football uses name, image, and likeness for anything, he got a check, right? His jersey was the number one selling jersey before he even stepped on the field. He ended up getting mad percentages from that, which already made him becoming one of the highest paid athletes without even being a number one draft pick or even stepping on the field. He's already making mad money. On top of that, he got a huge Nike deal, which put him up in the stratosphere as well as making money. So before he even got in the field, he was already a top earner when it comes to football, right? So he's shown that taking his name, image, and likeness and his brand, he made brand a business, not just playing football. The brand was just as important as him throwing a ball downfield. So he was able to change the game when it comes to football. He wasn't going to be taken advantage of. He knew his worth, and he able to got the deals that got it done. So now he's not worrying about being the number one pick, right? He ain't worrying about being a number 5th pick. All he do, he gonna get paid regardless of where he falls. Now, does he need to step on the field? Yes. Is it gonna hinder him making money? No. He knew what he was doing. He was taught well, and he did it, right? Now let's move on to Francis Ngannou, right? We all knew his career, how everything went down with him. He was from Africa. He smuggled his way into France. He was able to, learn how to get into mixed martial arts. He wanted to be a boxer, but he ended up getting into MMA. right? He was signed by the UFC and became a big star. Got the belt, was knocking out everybody, but in Dana White fashion and UFC fashion, they wanted to control who he can fight, when he can fight, and how he's going to do it. They wanted to offer him $6 million to fight John Jones. He was like, "Look, I want more than that." He wasn't going to get more than that, so he let his contract ride out, and he was able to get out of it scot free. He was able to become a free agent. He had like a year of nothing happening where he was in limbo. He ended up getting picked up by the PFL, right? With the PFL, he ended up becoming an ambassador for MMA in Africa, which he had a great contract with that. He ended up be able to say, "Hey, if you fight me, you're going to get paid more." When it comes to his opponents. On top of that, he was able to get into boxing, which was his original goal, where he was able to fight Tyson Fury, making $10 million for that deal. They ended up fighting Anthony Joshua. It looked like he made close to $20 million for that deal. So he became one of the highest paid MMA fighters outside of the UFC, right? So who made more money away from the UFC than in the UFC? So once again, he broke the mold. He said, "Look, I know what I can do in this sport. I know my worth. I know what I can bring." And people paid him for that. Okay. That's the name of the game. We've been so controlled by, not me as as an athlete, but athletes have been so controlled by the institution of college, saying going to college makes you a big deal. But they were taking all the money, right? Before NIL, athletes didn't getting paid anything, right? Then you make it to like the NBA and like that, where they say, "Hey, we're gonna pay you a lot, but we're gonna make 3 times as much as you making, and then we're gonna control what you say or do." Right? If you say the wrong thing, you're done. You're gonna get fined for everything. You're gonna get, hamstrung. You can't be a free agent. You can't do what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? To where, look at the WNBA. A lot of athletes were forced to fight overseas because they got paid more than they did in the States. Right? So being controlled by the industry is not always good for athletes. So with the NIL deal, things can change. Now you can build your own brand. You can make your own name. You can become more successful as an athlete. So now let's look at Gable Steveson, right? He's trying to navigate being out there as an athlete who wants to build his brand to make more money, where he doesn't want to be hamstrung as just a wrestler. Because we all know wrestlers are just now starting to make money. If you come from the NCAA and stuff like that, amateur wrestling, you're right, with freestyle, folk style or Greco, even though make it to the Olympics, don't guarantee you're gonna make a whole bunch of money, right? A lot of athletes who win gold in the Olympics get into other sports. Like if you're a wrestler and you win gold in the Olympics, or judo in the Olympics, 9 out of 10 you're going to the UFC, right? Because that's where the real money is at. Like everybody who's made it from the Olympics to the UFC has made real money because they were brandable and they had to win too. You see what I'm saying? So we understand how the game is played when it comes to being an athlete. Now you got to understand what that game is guaranteed money over opportunities. Okay? Guaranteed money is you're gonna have a set contract where you're gonna get paid this much. So if you're a beginner going into the UFC, you're gonna make 12 and 12, 20 and 20, 30 and 30, depending on what's your record before coming in, and if you have a name or a buzz going in. You can make more money if your name is there, right? But that's it. You make real money when you become a star, right? Where you can sell tickets, where you can sell pay-per-view, where people are following you and you're trending on social media. Without that, you're going to always get paid the bare minimums, regardless of how your record is, right? And the conversation is like, once fighters make money, they stop fighting because they had to struggle so hard to get there, right? You had to fight your butt off before you became a name fighter. And if anybody didn't like you, you got shit fights. Right? So until you was able to break out as a star, that's when you finally made money, right? But until then, how many stars are in the UFC? There's only still a handful of stars, and they're old stars. How many new stars do we have? We're still looking at John Jones, right? Because we got the White House card coming up, right? Where everybody is still screaming out, John Jones' name to fight on that card because right? He's an American. He's American. He was an American belt holder, right? We don't have any American belt holders. We don't have that many stars that can fight and win right now. John Jones is still undefeated. He can still hold his own and out of 10 come out on top. Can how many American athletes can say that right now? You see what I'm saying? So it's tricky right now. So do you want guaranteed money, or are they going to sell you opportunities? The UFC, WWE, all that boxing, they all sell you the opportunity. We'll pay you this much. Once you become a star, we'll pay you this much. But in the meantime, you got how many fights on your contract where the industry is making all this money? By the time you get a chance to make real money, you either pass your prime or you're lost, you're not winning, you can't stay undefeated, or so many things can get in the fact. So that opportunity may not work for you, right? Where you may need guaranteed money to secure that you get paid on a regular basis. Now you got to hope you get fights. You see what I'm saying? That's why Jake Paul is winning right now, is because you don't have to be the best. All we got to do is market you. So if you got a halfway decent name, we can sell you and you can make $1 million and up, which is what he's done compared to the UFC, where your career is over. Then where do you make money at? After you start losing, after you start being out of your prime where no one's booking you as much, where do you go to make money? Until you get released from Dana White, you're stuck. You're sitting on the bench. Then you're not making any money. If you're not a brand and you don't have a podcast, if you don't have other ways to make money, like sell merchandise or get speaking engagements or showing up, for camps, all the kind of good stuff, where do you make your money at? Which is what people don't understand. Opportunity comes where you make revenue from other things. The business model is this: you fight, make a name, and then we sell things around you. You get a flat contract fee, right? If you're lucky to get pay-per-view points, which may be going away, right? You got to either sell merchandise, put on camps as a coach, do interviews, have a podcast. With a podcast, hopefully it breaks off, right? If you don't have these other things, where's your money coming from? That's what people don't understand. So now you look at RAF, right? They're coming online, and for the new wrestlers competing, they get paid, right? But they still got to be marketable. You still got to be able to sell tickets. You still got to be able to sell pay-per-view. People got to be interested in wanting to watch you, right? There's so many things you got to do to be successful as an athlete, especially a combat athlete, right? Fighter pay is not no guarantee. Opportunity is not no guarantee. Just because you make it to the UFC, don't guarantee you're going to make money, or the PFL, or look at Dirty Boxing. Dirty Boxing is coming up online. They starting to pay guys pretty well. How long that's going to last? You know what I'm saying? There's so much going into it. If you don't understand the game, that don't mean you're going to guarantee success. That's all I'm saying. So when you look at these fighters athletes like Shador or Nagano or Stevenson, right? They have to figure it out. The other two already figured it out. Now it's Gabe's turn to figure it out. The name of the game is, if you don't figure it out, it don't matter how good you are. Ain't no guarantee you're going to make money. That's all I'm saying, right? Fighter pay is not what you think it is without being somebody that can make money off you. You don't make money before somebody else make money. That's the bottom line. Until you understand that, you're going to come up short. All right? That's all I got. This is Coach D, doing what I'm doing, calling it like I see it, talking my share of shit. To hear from me again, peace out.